welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another pen for review. Now this pen is on loan to me from a friend from the pen club that I organise. The pen is on loan from Gary Dapperman, and you can check out his Dapperman blog where he reviews fountain pens. This was a pen that he purchased secondhand not so long ago this year, and he's offered it to me for review, so this pen will be going back to him. Now this is called the Conklin Israel 75 or 75th anniversary, and the reason for that is Conklin made this in 2023 to commemorate the creation of the state of Israel that was 75 years ago, hence 75th anniversary. Now, I know this is going to be quite controversial. There's two sides to a story. You've got Israel or Israelis. You've got the Palestinians. So I'm just going to say right now, I'm more than happy for anyone to comment about the pen, about the nib, about the writing experience, about what they like about the pen. But if anyone is going to leave either hate comments from either side of the political spectrum, and leave comments on the video about that, then there's two things that's going to happen. One, your comment will get deleted, and two, you will not be able to post comments on any of my future videos. I just want to put that out there because I'm not going to deal with any hate speech from either side, from Israelis or Palestinians. So I think let's show this pen in a little bit more detail. So the reason why I wanted to review this pen was I kind of like the look. I kind of feel that I'm not normally into Conklin pens, and I have to say I've got a few Conklins, or I've had a few Conklins. I had a couple of Conklin Nighthawks. I did sell one of them. They have Yovo nibs in, and the more recent edition, maybe I want to say 2018 to like 22. I found that the nibs were really not that good. And specifically the Omniflex nibs. Now, I'd only tried steel nibs, and I know that the nibs have got better. So I wanted to try this, obviously, for a few reasons. So one is the look of this pen. I really do like this blue wave kind of look here. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. Not as nice, but I do like this blue wave effect. I do also like the sort of overlay here on the cap as well, where you have these cutouts and you can see that same blue resin peeking through. And I also actually I think it's a nice touch to have this wood here on the cap finial. And you can see the cap finial there, and also around the cap band as well. So I kind of like this pen. Now, I know this pen comes in a couple of versions. There's a steel nib version, and there's a 14 karat gold version. And this is a 14 karat gold version of the pen. Now, personally, I'm not into political or politicalization. So I've been offered a Visconti Opera Master Europe before, and I turned it down. I'm not into buying pens that are sort of have a country name on them. So this really wouldn't be a pen that I would buy. But that said, if it wasn't Israel, and I've got nothing against Israel, I've got nothing against Jews. I have a number of friends that are Jewish, and that's why I'm saying that about the comments, leaving comments on this video, I'm not going to accept any hate speech. But if it didn't have Israel on the pen, I think I would have actually probably been more warming up to maybe buying a version of this pen and trying it out. But I think if we unscrew the cap here, you'll see it does come with this 14 karat gold nib there, and I believe these are Yovo nibs, but they do have these wing cutouts there that you can see on the side of the nib, and it does say Omniflex. Now, I said that I've had Omniflex nibs, or I've tried Omniflex nibs before, and I've always had problems with them. They've always not been good nibs, and the reason why I say that is that you could start writing with them, and really under no flex, when you're writing, they just stop writing, and I've not had very good experience. But this one though, maybe it's because it's a 14 karat gold nib, maybe because it's a more recent version of a reiteration of that Omniflex nib. Maybe uh, they've just actually improved it. Now, if I unscrew the body there, you can see it is a cartridge converter pen. Now, it does have metal threads, so you cannot, and also metal threads here, so you cannot eyedropper this, because that metal will corrode over time if you do eyedropper it with ink. I do find this section way on the thin side, and I want to say that, and I'm the reason why I'm pausing and hesitating. I'm thinking, I don't think I have had a section that thin before. Like, I've gone down to essentially, like, most of my sections are like 11 millimeters, and I think the thinnest I've gone down to is 9.5. That is very, very thin. Bearing in mind that a number 6 size nib, which is what this is, the width of the base of the nib there is 6 millimeters. I want to say this is probably around 7.5 millimeters for the section. So that is a very thin section. And with a bit of a step down as well. I kind of feel that they probably, Conklin should have made that section thicker, maybe around 9.5 millimeters in diameter, because that really, if you've got small hands or small fingers, ladylike fingers, that would be probably a comfortable section. For me, it's not a comfortable section. You can't post the cap either. Well, you can, but it's not going to post deeply. Will it post securely? Yes, yeah, I guess it will, but it does feel a little bit too long, and it feels like I'm going to snap that off. Now that it's not a piston knob, so posting a cap onto that should be fine, but I would still caution it because you have got some wood here, so I don't quite know what the strength of that is going to be. But it's an interesting pen, and I have to say, I do like it. The threads here are wood. The inner part of this cap, going down to about here, is wood. So it's an interesting pen. The cap is actually quite weighty, which I am a little bit surprised at. I've looked at this pen a number of times online. I've liked the look of it. I know others have picked it up with the steel nib version. This one was being sold second-hand, and it had a 14 karat gold nib on it, and Gary went and bought it. So I'm glad that he's lent it to me today so that I can review it for you guys. And we'll do a size check, we'll do a weight check, we'll do a pen comparison, and then we'll do a writing sample. So the full length of the pen, we are looking at about 142 millimeters in length. The length of the cap, we're looking at about 63 millimeters in length. And then if I unscrew the cap there, we'll take a look at the length of the body, and we're looking about 123 millimeters in length. So it's not a long pen, but in my hand, it seems fairly comfortable. I typically don't like to go below 120 millimeters. So this is 123. So that's not too bad. The shorter I get, it becomes more like this in my hand. So 123, I think is fine for that. I think what we'll do a weight check. Now, bearing in mind this is inked up, the full weight of the pen, we're looking at just under 40 grams in weight. As I said, that cap is quite weighty. Now, the cap on its own, we're looking at just over 21 grams in weight. So the cap is almost a half the weight of the pen, and then the weight of the pen, and obviously this is inked up, you're looking at just over 18.5 grams. So the pen weight is actually quite good. The cap weight is a little bit weightier, but yeah, it's certainly an interesting pen. So I think with that, let's do a comparison with other pens. So from left to right, we have a Marjon Titanium TI-136. We have a Pelikan M800, and this is the vibrant blue. We have a Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Raden. We have a Montegrappa Extra Otto. We have an Anoto, and this is the Platinum Jubilee overlay. We have the Conklin Israel 75. We have a Anoto, and this is the Platinum Jubilee in sterling silver. We have a Mont Blanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle 1902. We have a Pelikan M1000 Raden Starlight and a Pelikan M1000 Raden Sunlight. So I think let's now go into a writing sample. So this is the Conklin, and just get the actual name of this. It is the Israel, and it's the 75 or 75th. Now, this nib, it is an Omniflex nib, and I'm just having a look. I'm trying to see if it actually says what the nib width is, and I'm struggling to find that on this pen. I believe it is a fine nib, so I'm going to put it down as a fine nib, and it is a 14 karat gold nib. Now, the ink in here is Pilot, Iroshizuku, and it's Kuyaku, which is an ink that I've not tried before, so that's an interesting ink colour. In terms of line variation, I would definitely say we're getting almost an extra fine. This is with a feather-light touch. If I press it a bit more, I can get, I'd say, more of a medium out of this nib. But I'm not going to flex it more than this because it's not my pen or nib. But you can see those figure eights are quite nice, and the vertical lines, I'm not getting any hard starts or skips there. So that in itself is actually quite nice. In terms of ink wetness, let's take a look at this. So it is a wet nib, but not overly wet. It's not a fire hose nib, but it is still quite a nice wet writing nib. Now, what I will say is that Gary told me it was Kuyaku. I think it's Kujaku as an ink, because I've just had a look and I cannot see anything called Kuyaku. What do I like? What do I not like about the pen? Well, I'm not into country-themed pens or state-themed pens. So I think that this would be a nice pen if it wasn't centered around Israel or the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. I like the look of this pen, and I love the blueness. I love the metal overlay. I love the cutouts that they've got here. And I like the addition of the wood. I think the wood makes this pen look quite nice as well. What do I dislike about the pen? Well, as I said, like if it wasn't centered around Israel, I think this would be a more attractable pen to more people. I kind of don't like that section. That section is a little bit on the thin side for me. But that's personal preference, like most of this is, and uh, I just think they could have made that section a little bit wider. I do like this pen though. If it wasn't labelled Israel, if it was labelled like the Ocean Pen or something along that line, then I think that would probably sell a lot more pens than probably having it labelled as Israel. But I got nothing against Israel or the Israelis or likewise the Palestinians. So I don't want to politicize this. The nib writes well. It's a little bit on the fine side. It's not quite as smooth. It's got a little bit of toothiness to the nib. Definitely feedback to the nib. But I'd say that this Omniflex nib is much better than any of the other nibs that I've written with. Whether that's a 14 karat goldness of it instead of a steel version, or whether or not it's a feed, or whether or not they've just improved it. But I'd say that this actually writes quite nicely. So there you have it. That's my review of the Conklin Israel 75 with a fine 14 karat gold nib. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.